Bonjour à toutes et à tous et bienvenue dans une nouvelle vidéo Apprenons ensemble. Je m'appelle Habib et j'enseigne le français. Hello and welcome to another video on Apprenons ensemble. If you are new here, my name is Habib and I teach French. In today's video, we are going to work on a translation exercise. Apprenons ensemble. French for Intermediate, English to French Translation Exercise 3. Require knowledge. In this exercise, we'll have to translate sentences into French. Here is the list of knowledge to have before you can start. Present, past, and future tenses rules. Articles, partitive articles, negation, negative expressions, and nouns gender. In this channel, we are learning French with practical exercises. So if you do like this type of video, I will humbly ask you to please subscribe and hit the bell button not to miss our future uploads. Translate into French. Traduisez en français. Here are the sentences that you'll be translating into French. For each sentence, I will give you 10 seconds. And then at the end, we'll do the correction. If you need more time, you can just pause the video, finish your translation, and then continue the video. We'll start with the first sentence. Sentence number 1. I don't like meat. 10-second timer started. Second sentence, she no longer eats meat. 10-second timer started. Third sentence, I have never smoked. 10-second timer started. Fourth sentence, we are not sleeping yet. 10-second timer started. Fifth sentence, they did not eat anything. 10-second timer started. Answers. Les réponses. Are you looking for a French tutor for yourself or for your family one? Do not hesitate to contact me. I will help you significantly improve your reading, speaking, listening, and writing skills. Take the next step which will enable you to speak fluent French. Contact me. You can directly leave me a message in the message box under the video. You can send me an email or you can contact me through Facebook or Instagram. I will get back to you as soon as possible. You can find all the details in the video description. Les réponses. I don't like meat. So here is the structure of the sentence. We have a subject, the negation, the verb, and the complement. So let's put a color in a different part of the sentence. So I don't like meat. Okay, we'll start with the subject. So the subject is I. I is a subject pronoun. Here we do have the list of subject pronouns. And according to the table, I in English means je in French. Okay, so I'm going to replace it in the sentence. Okay, next part, the verb. So like is the present tense form of the verb to like. To like in French means aimer. Present tense rules. So a verb can be divided into two parts, the stem or the fixed part and the ending. So for the verb aimer, AIM is the fixed part or the stem, and ER is the ending. So here is the conjugation of the verb aimer for present tense, and our subject in the sentence there is je, so to become j'aime. So I'm going to replace it. Okay. Next part, the negation. Do not is used to express negation. In French, the regular way to make a sentence negative is to use ne dash pas. Okay? So here is the affirmative sentence, subject plus verb plus the complement. So now let's see where to put the negation. So here we are going to put NE or N apostrophe right after the subject. This is very important. I would want you to pay attention and to note it down. So NE or N apostrophe right after the subject and pas right after the verb. Always, whenever you do have negation, NE right after the subject and pas right after the verb. Okay? So let's replace it in our sentence. So no right after the subject and pas right after the verb. Note, NE becomes N apostrophe when the next word starts with a vowel or a silent H. So in our case, we do have NE here, and after NE, the next word starts with a vowel. So we are going to do this transformation. Okay? So je n'aime pas, and then we have meat. So let's translate the last part. So the complement is meat, and in French it will become la viande, which is a feminine singular noun. This is another tip that you need to know or you need to note down. Whenever you are learning a new noun in French, you need to learn it with its gender. Very important, so that it will help you know the article that you have to use. Okay? So let's replace it in the sentence. So the final sentence in French will become je n'aime pas la viande. Okay? Sentence number 2. She no longer eats meat. Okay, let's see the structure of the sentence. So we have our subjects, negation, a verb, and a complement. So she no longer eats meat. Let's start with the subject. So the subject is she. So according to the table of the subject pronouns, she will in English will be elle in French. Let's replace it in our sentence. Okay. Next point, the verb. Eat is the verb. So to eat in French becomes manger. It's an ER verb. Okay. So the tense is the present tense. Okay. So manger for subject elle becomes elle mange. Okay. So let's replace it in the sentence. Next part. Okay, this time for the negation, we do have a negative expression. So no longer is a negative expression. So other negative expression. So here is the table of the negative expression. So do not is the normal negation, but we also have no longer, never, nothing, nobody, not yet, and etc. So please go through the table. Okay. So here we are looking for no longer. So no longer in French will become ne plus. Ne dash plus. Okay. So let's replace it in the, okay. So 1 second first. So no longer equal ne plus. So for the affirmative sentence, we'll have the subject, the verb, and the complement. And as we mentioned above or in the previous question, we are going to put our ne right after the subject and plus this time, not pas, but plus this time, right after the verb. Okay? So let's replace it in a sentence. So ne, right after the subject, and plus, right after the verb. Note, NE becomes an apostrophe when the next word starts with a vowel or a silent H. In this sentence, here is NE, and right after it, the next word starts with a consonant. So we are not going to apply this rule. Okay? Next part. Meat is la viande. So which is a feminine singular noun. Okay? So I'm going to replace it here, la viande. Normally, normally we can stop here, but we do have a verb here which is manger. Okay? So let's see what happened with the verb manger. So the verb manger is used to express an indefinite quantity. So you are eating something. You eat something. So you eat a quantity. And in this sentence, we don't have the exact quantity. Okay? She no longer eats meat. We don't know about the quantity. And even if it was not the negative sentence, let's suppose it was she eats meat. So we don't have the exact quantity. So therefore, we must use partitive articles in this sentence because we don't know the exact quantity. So partitive articles are generally used for food and beverages for unknown quantity. Okay? So to express partitive article, we are just going to use the preposition de followed by the definite article le, la, l'apostrophe or le plus the noun. Okay? So here we have la viande. So I'm going to add de before to make de la as an undefined or unknown quantity. Okay? So let's add the de in our sentence. So de and then la viande. Okay? Now, let's suppose here the noun viande was masculine. So the de plus the le will turn to du. Here de plus la stays DELA. So that's why we are going to keep it de la. But if you have DE followed by LE or LES, then we need to change these two. Okay? So please pay attention. Note, if you have UN, UNE, DU, DES, de la, de l'apostrophe, or any number, after the second part of the negative expression, we replace them with DE. Let's try to understand. So here we have, this is our negative expression. No, the first part, and plus, the second part. The rule says that if after the second part of the negative expression, I have de la, or UN, or UNE, DU, DES, DEL apostrophe, or any number, I should replace that one by DE. Okay, this is a French rule. So here I'm going to cut that la. Okay, understood this part? Very important. If you do have any question, please you can leave me a message under the video. I will get back to you. Third sentence, I have never smoked. Okay, so let's see the structure of this sentence. So in this sentence, we do have a subject, negation, and a verb. So, I have smoked is the verb and never is the negation. Let's start with the subject. So the subject is I. So as usual, I, we are going to check in our table for the subject pronouns. So I in English becomes je. So let's replace it in our sentence. Okay. The next part, the verb. Have smoked is the verb. Okay. So the tense of this sentence is passé composé. If I want to express passé composé in English, I need to know that we can have 3 different possibilities of English equivalents. So, example here, I visited will become passé composé. I have visited, I also need to use passé composé in French. I did visit, I'm going again to use passé composé. Okay? So, whenever you have simple past, present perfect, or past hépatique, I need to use passé composé in French. Okay? You see, for these 3 different sentences, I'm still getting the same answer, the same results in French. Okay? And this part is very important. So here, we are going to use passé composé to conjugate the verb. Now, let's see what will be the verb. Okay, so the rule for passé composé. So this is the French rule. So every time you have a tense, you are able to identify a tense, the tense in English, you need to come back in French, get that tense in French, and then apply the French rules. Don't keep using the English rules to try and translate the sentence. Okay? So the passé composé rule for French, okay, is we are going to use an auxiliary, être or avoir, which will be conjugated present tense, and then get the past participle of the verb. Okay? So être or avoir, present tense, and then the past participle of the verb. So for you to understand properly this part, maybe you have to take a tutor, you have to be guided, or you can browse internet to get all the different information about when to use être, when to use avoir. That's the first point. The second point will be for you to learn how to get the past participle of the verb. Okay? So in this sentence, the verb is to smoke. Okay? Okay, for you, how to identify the one having the ed at the end, that will be the verb. Okay? So the verb that we are going to conjugate for passé composé will be to smoke, not have smoke. Don't try to translate both parts. Okay? The one having the ed at the end. Okay? Or, according to this example, after the did, the verb will come. Okay? So that is the verb that we are going to conjugate for present tense in French, following the passé composé rules in French. Okay? So to smoke in French becomes fumer. Okay? So the auxiliary used to conjugate the verb fumer in passé composé is avoir. Okay, so I just kept this part because the thing is, if we want to explain this part, it will take the whole time for the video. So you can browse, get some information. You can leave me a message in the comment section. Or if you do have a special tutor, you can ask him about more information about how to conjugate the verb passé composé. Okay? So here the auxiliary that we'll use to conjugate the verb to smoke will be avoir. Okay? So the passé composé will be est fumé. Okay? Est fumé. Note. In any two-letter word ending with E or A, followed by another word beginning with a vowel or a silent H, the E or the A of the two-letter word will be replaced by an apostrophe. So here, let's try to understand. Any two-letter word ending with E or A. So here I have a two-letter word ending with E or A, followed by another word beginning with a vowel or a silent H. So here, after the two-letter word ending with E or A, I have another word beginning with a vowel. So the E or the A of the two-letter word will be replaced by an apostrophe. So I'm going to replace this E by an apostrophe. Okay? And when you have apostrophe, then there is no more space before the next word. Okay. I hope you understood this part. The negation part. Never is a negative expression. So according to our table for the negative expressions, never in French become ne jamais. Okay? And as we mentioned before, we said ne right after the subject. That's what we did. The subject is here. I'm putting ne here. Now, jamais normally should be after the verb, but here we are in passé composé. So this is very important point I need to mention. Passé composé, the verb is made of two parts, the auxiliary and the verb past participle. So this time, we are putting no right after the subject, but the second part of the negation will be put right after the auxiliary. Okay? Not after the past participle. Understood? So again, we are coming back again to the same rule. Any two-letter word ending with E or A followed by another word beginning with a vowel or a silent H, the E or the A of the two-letter word will be replaced by an apostrophe. So here I have a two-letter word ending with E or A followed by another word starting with a vowel. So I need to again replace the E by an apostrophe. Okay? So the sentence will be Je n'ai jamais fumé. Okay? Sentence number 4. We are not sleeping yet. Let's see the structure of the sentence. Subject, negation, verb. So we are sleeping, not yet. Okay? Let's start with the subjects. So the subject this time is we. So according to our table, we in French will become nous. So let's replace it in a sentence. The next part, the verb. So present tense. Tense used to express an action in progress. Okay. Are sleeping is the present continuous of the verb to sleep. English present continuous rule. I want you to understand something which is very important. I am eating. I am talking. He is laughing. Okay? This is the present continuous English rule that you are using. Sometimes you just not pay attention, but the present continuous rule in English is using an auxiliary, okay, which is the auxiliary to be, that you are going to conjugate for present tense. And then the verb itself, you are adding ing at its end. I need you to understand this part because it is very, very important. So every time you have a verb ending with ing in French, what do you need to do? We are not going to translate are separately and sleeping separately, because are sleeping is nothing but the present continuous rule to conjugate a verb. And for that rule, you are adding the auxiliary to be that you conjugate in present tense, and then the verb itself, you add ing. What do we know? We know that the verb here for us will be to sleep. To be is not the verb. The to be that you have is the rule, is coming from the rule of present continuous, English rule of present continuous. Okay. So the verb itself will be the one where you added the ing at the end. So if I want to conjugate are sleeping in French, I need to take the verb as the verb to sleep. And I'm going to apply the present tense rule to the verb to sleep. I hope this is clear. If you do have more doubt about this part, so please, you can just drop me a message. So we shall follow the French rule and conjugate the verb to sleep in the present tense for the subject nous. So to sleep in French become dormir. So the conjugation will become nous dormons. So let's replace it in the sentence. Okay. So nous dormons. Now the last part will be the negation. So not yet is a negative expression. So here we do have our negative expression table. So not yet will be nothing but pas encore, ne pas encore. Okay? So ne pas encore. So what are we going to do? Ne right after the subject and pas encore right after the verb. Okay? So nous ne dormons pas encore. Fine? Last sentence, they did not eat anything. Let's see the structure. Subject, negation, verb. They, subject, did eat, verb, not anything, the negation. Okay. So let's start with the subject. So they is the subject pronoun of this sentence. So they in French will be il or elle. Okay, here we can use il or we can use elle. But since we don't have more information, because we use elle only for a group composed of female or woman, so in this case, I'm going to use il to make it easy. I can also use elle, there is no problem, but we said we use elle only when we have a group made of females only. So I'm going to use il, but you can, if you want, you can use elle, or if you used elle during the exercise, the sentence is also correct. Okay, so I'm replacing by il. Again, I'm saying it again. So if you put elle here, it is also correct. Okay. Now, the verb is did it. So, the tense again is passé composé. So again, the same rule. So we have the 3 English ways to use passé composé in French. Okay. So the rule to conjugate passé composé in French will be être or avoir present tense plus the verb past participle. So in this sentence, our verb is to eat. So to eat in French becomes manger. So the auxiliary used to conjugate the verb manger in passé composé is the auxiliary avoir. Okay. So I'm going to replace it. Ils ont mangé. Ils ont mangé. So now the last part, not anything is a negative expression. Let's see the table for our negative expression. So not anything can be replaced by nothing. Same thing. Okay. So nothing will be the negative expression here. So again, ne right after the subject. And here we are in passé composé. So the verb part is made of more than one part. So I'm going to put rien right after the auxiliary. And my auxiliary in this case is un. Okay. So let's do the transformation. Okay. So ils n'ont rien mangé. So again, I think we are getting this part and now it's becoming easy for you, I hope. So in any 2-letter word ending with E or A followed by another word beginning with a vowel or a silent H, the E or the E of the 2-letter word will be replaced by an apostrophe. So that's what we are going to do here. Okay. So here are the answers for this exercise. So I don't like meat. Je n'aime pas la viande. She no longer eats meat. Elle ne mange plus de viande. I have never smoked. Je n'ai jamais fumé. We are not sleeping yet. Nous ne dormons pas encore. They did not eat anything. Ils n'ont rien mangé. Okay? So, how to master, this is a tip for the person who stayed till the end of the video. How to master the formation of sentences in French. So the first thing is to start with simple sentences. It reduces the percentage of error. Okay, so simple sentences means a subject, a verb, and a complement. Okay. Second point, which is very important, is to identify the tense of the sentence in English and find the tense in French that express the same thing. Okay. The last thing is to practice with writing. Okay. The best thing is you need to write down your sentences. Don't try to do it mentally. No. Why? Because first of all, written word stays longer in the memory. And the second point is because practice makes learning perfect. Okay? So I hope this video was very helpful for you. If you do have any question, any suggestion, or anything that you want to let me know, you can just drop me a comment in the video box below. So, merci, bonne journée, au revoir.